My baby can sit, roll over, but they can't crawl. Guys, at 10 months old, this conversation should have been almost at the 7th month level. When you're sitting, right, there's two types of sitting. There's independent sitting, which I know your child can do, but they can't come to sitting from their back. And that's why your baby's not crawling. First of all, when I'm sitting independently, right, the whole purpose of me sitting independently, and this should have happened at 5.5 months, right, is first of all, is not only a midline crossing, or coming to midline, I should say, right? Babies tend to do this. That's a warning to me. What they should be doing is they're picking up their toy and bringing in. First of all, that starts the visual arcs, which I can see your child does not have, right? And then the visual arcs go from here, and then they go where I'm picking up something, oh, I'm bringing it to you and coming in here. So now I start having that convergence with visual arcs, right? And it's going out, that going around, right? And that brings everything to me together. And that starts the side sitting, which I can't do, I have hip issues, but the side sitting, right? And that's where you're that. So at 6.5 months, what should have happened is come to sitting from their back, right? And so you're at your back and you're sitting there, and I see something like this phone and I just sit up. This is a really big missed milestone that's happening in your child's case, and that's why it's not coming in. They're not coming to sitting. And so when they're not coming to sitting through that, so what you're seeing the sitting to happen is your child rolls over on their belly and they push up this way and they come into sitting, right? But what that does is I don't have a midline crossing when I'm doing something like that. They tend to come into W sitting a bit too much, but when I'm coming to sitting through my back, right, I'm rolling over, it opens up my pelvis, so then I can get into all fours and I'm crawling, right? When this doesn't happen, when I'm here, and then this is what people think, that all this crazy stuff is crawling, when they're army crawling, or they can't catch air, or they're maybe starting to spin around and do like a crop circle, right? But again, if they're not coming to sitting through their back, and there is a coming to sitting course, but, you know, and I can tell you right now, if the rolling over was not right. The independent sitting was not right. And another big one that you missed is grabbing the feet at 4.5 months. Maybe she grabbed a foot, but not where she grabbed both feet and pumped. And that's why the pelvis isn't opening up for the crawl. You cannot position a child into all fours and expect them to crawl. They have to be able to go in and out of any milestone, which is including. So they have to be able to go into all fours, and that's where crawling starts. But if you think your child is really going to be strong enough to push off and plank, which right now most of you can't do, is to do this kind of stuff or go into a plank, and that's going to create a crawl. The pelvis doesn't have enough movement needed, and that's where you start seeing the clubs, if you start getting those kind of things, or a bear crawl, where they're here trying to crawl, but they're not doing what you consider or I consider a 4 points crawl. And so that's where the breakdown is. Coming to sitting, the pubic bone strike course, we need better foundations in the previous milestones, but you're at 10 months, and not only is the crawling not happening, right, but the eyes are separating too much from the body. So I really want you to rock and roll with this, and at least maybe do the all fours course if you feel coming back down a couple of milestones for better foundations is not the way to go. But I would get better foundations. Thanks.